New wife asked her sister to cover while she cheated with multiple men. When I found out and filed for divorce, she threatened to tell everyone I was abusive. I need to get this off my chest. I don't even know where to begin, but I guess I'll start from the beginning. I'm 28 years old, and my older brother Nate has been married to his wife Emma for about 4 years now. They dated for 2 years before that. I've always looked up to my brother, and Emma has always been like a sister to me. Our family welcomed her with open arms from day one. My parents always said they wanted a daughter, and Emma fit right in. She comes over for Sunday dinners even when Nate has to work late, helps my mom with her gardening, and has this way of making everyone feel comfortable. They're that couple everyone wants to be, supportive, communicative, genuinely happy together. About a year ago, I started noticing Emma's sister Tara at our family gatherings. She's different from Emma, outgoing, vivacious, always the center of attention. Where Emma is warm but reserved, Tara is loud and magnetic. She has this laugh that fills a room, and she's always telling stories that have everyone hanging on her every word. I found myself drawn to her. We'd chat at family events, and there was definitely some flirting going on. She'd touch my arm when she laughed at my jokes, seek me out when she arrived at gatherings, text me random funny things during the week. I'm not usually one for casual relationships. I tend to take things seriously, which is probably why I hadn't dated much before. After a few months of this back and forth at family gatherings, I finally worked up the courage to ask Tara out. It took me weeks to decide how to do it. I wanted it to be casual but clear that I was interested in her romantically. I called her on a Tuesday evening after pacing around my apartment for an hour and asked if she wanted to grab dinner sometime. She said yes immediately, didn't even hesitate. I was over the moon. I later found out that Emma had warned Tara not to date me unless she was serious, because it could complicate things for both families. Tara apparently brushed her off, saying Emma was overreacting and needed to stop being so uptight about everything. Our first date went really well. She wore this red dress that made it hard for me to focus on the menu. The conversation flowed easily, and I felt this connection I hadn't felt with anyone before. We stayed until closing, and when I walked her to her car, she kissed me first. I called Nate and Emma afterward, couldn't help myself. I was excited like a teenager after prom night. I also texted my parents about it. Everyone seemed happy for me, though I could sense Emma was still a bit reserved. She sent me a text the next day saying she was glad I had a good time but reminded me that Tara had a history of not treating guys well. I brushed it off as sisterly type concern. Things moved quickly after that. We kept seeing each other, almost every night for that first week, and within a month, we were officially a couple. I introduced Tara to my friends, brought her to work events. My friends seemed to like her, though my buddy Chris pulled me aside at a barbecue and said she seemed high maintenance. I dismissed it at the time. But it wasn't all smooth sailing. We started having these arguments, sometimes over small things, other times over bigger issues. She'd cancel plans last minute because something better came up with her friends, or I'd get annoyed when she'd be on her phone the entire time we were together, constantly checking Instagram and texting people. I'd vent to Nate sometimes about how frustrating it could be, and I knew Tara would call Emma to complain about me too. Emma would occasionally mention to me that Tara had called her upset about something I said or did, usually things I didn't even remember or certainly didn't think were a big deal. Despite the fights, I was falling hard. I started wanting to know where she was all the time, who she was with. Looking back, I can see I was becoming possessive, but at the time, it felt like I was just invested in the relationship. I started checking her social media constantly, noting who commented on her photos, who she was tagging in posts. I'd ask her to text me when she got places, when she was leaving places, who was going to be at the gatherings she attended. She seemed annoyed by it but would usually comply, though sometimes with an eye roll or a sigh that made me feel like I was being unreasonable. But I couldn't help it. I had this constant fear that I would lose her, that she would find someone more exciting, less conventional than me. Then 3 months into our relationship, I had this gut feeling something was off. Tara said she was going out with some work friends on a Friday night. She'd been mentioning this one coworker, Alex, quite a bit over the previous weeks. It was always Alex said this funny thing today or Alex and I are working on this project together. I tried to shake it off, but the feeling wouldn't go away. She was being vague about where they were going, kept changing the subject when I asked for details. So I did something I'm not proud of. I decided to show up at the bar where she said they'd be. I told myself I would just peek in, maybe wave if she saw me, pretend I was meeting someone else there if she asked. When I got there, I saw her sitting at a table with this guy. Just the two of them, no work friends in sight. They were leaning in close, laughing, touching hands. He tucked a strand of hair behind her ear. My blood was boiling. I stood there watching them for probably 5 minutes, frozen in disbelief and anger, before I finally stormed over and confronted them. Tara seemed shocked to see me, her eyes wide with surprise and what looked like guilt. She tried to explain that Alex was just a coworker, that they were just having a friendly drink, that the others had canceled last minute. I didn't believe her. The guy stood up and told me to calm down, said I was embarrassing Tara and myself. Something in me snapped when he put his hand on my chest to push me back. I threw the first punch. Next thing I knew, we were on the ground. Tables got knocked over, glasses broke. The bartender was yelling. Someone called the cops. I was arrested for the first time in my life. They took me to the station, booked me for assault and destruction of property. I had to call Nate to bail me out because I was too ashamed to call my parents. I was humiliated when he and Emma showed up at the station at 2 a.m. In the car, I explained what happened, how I'd followed Tara because I was suspicious, how I saw her with this guy, how I lost my temper. Nate kept saying he understood but that I needed to get my jealousy under control. Emma was quiet the whole ride home, just kept looking at me with this expression I couldn't read. When they dropped me off, she hugged me tightly and whispered, "Be careful." I didn't understand what she meant at the time. The next day, Tara called me, furious. She also revealed something I hadn't even realized. In the chaos of the bar fight, I had accidentally hit her too. I didn't remember doing it, but she said she had a black eye. She sent me a photo, and sure enough, there was a bruise forming under her left eye. I felt sick. I've never hit a woman in my life. I didn't mean to hurt her. It was an accident in the heat of the moment. But the damage was done. I couldn't stop staring at that photo, couldn't believe I was capable of causing that kind of harm, even accidentally. Tara said she wanted to break up. Said she couldn't be with someone who would stalk her and get violent. The worst part? She wasn't actually lying about Alex being just a coworker that night. She showed me proofs later that people indeed canceled last minute. My jealousy had made me overreact at exactly the wrong moment. I also found out that Alex dropped the assault charges against me, but only because Tara had pleaded with him too. She later showed me the texts where she convinced him that pressing charges would only make things worse. "He's getting help, I promise," she had written. "Please do this for me." Alex had reluctantly agreed, telling her, "I'm only doing this for you, not him." This made me feel even worse about the whole situation. I was guilty, but got off because of Tara's intervention. I begged her not to. I got on my knees during a tear-filled meeting at her apartment, promised I would get help, that I would work on my jealousy and anger. I suggested counseling, both individual and couples therapy. I told her I loved her, that I was sorry, that I would spend the rest of my life making it up to her. She was hesitant but agreed to think about it. I wrote her long messages apologizing, promising to change. I read books about anger management and jealousy, started looking into therapists. Eventually, she agreed to give me another chance. She said she loved me too much to walk away, that she believed I could change, that the incident had scared her but that she knew the real me was gentle and kind. We started seeing a therapist together. I also began individual counseling for my anger issues. Things improved slowly. The therapist helped me understand my possessive behavior and gave me tools to manage my jealousy. After 6 months of therapy and what I thought was real progress, I asked Tara to move in with me. She agreed enthusiastically, said she had been waiting for me to ask. Living together had its challenges. She was messier than I expected. I was more routine-oriented than she liked. She wanted to go out on weeknights, I preferred to save socializing for the weekends. But I was committed to making it work. I thought we were solid, that we had overcome our early issues. I planned a surprise proposal during a work trip to Chicago. I spent weeks planning it, coordinating with the restaurant, picking out the perfect ring. I took her to the top of the Willis Tower, got down on one knee with the city lights spread out below us. She said yes immediately, started crying. It felt like everything had fallen into place. Later that night, as we lay in bed, she told me she had never been happier, that she couldn't wait to be my wife, that she knew we were meant to be together forever. Both our families were thrilled about the engagement. We had a dinner to celebrate, and everyone seemed genuinely happy. My mom cried and kept hugging Tara, telling her she had always wanted a daughter-in-law like her and Emma. My dad pulled me aside and said he was proud of how I had grown up, how I had worked on myself, how I had found someone who made me happy. I noticed Emma pull Tara aside at one point during the celebration, a serious look on her face, but Tara returned from the conversation smiling, assuring me that everything was fine, that Emma was just being protective as usual, that she had told Emma I had changed, that we were in a good place now. We spent the next few months planning the wedding. My parents were generous and covered most of the expenses. Tara wanted something elaborate, she had always dreamed of a big wedding, she said. The perfect dress, the perfect venue, the perfect flowers. I wanted to give her everything she wanted. I remember sitting with her as she went through bridal magazines, pointing out the dresses she liked, the color schemes she was considering. She was so happy, so excited about our future together. I felt like the luckiest man alive. The day itself was perfect. The ceremony was at this beautiful old church, followed by a reception at a country club overlooking a lake. She looked stunning walking down the aisle in her lace dress, her hair up with a few curls framing her face. I remember my hands shaking as I recited my vows, how her eyes teared up as she said hers. I remember thinking how lucky I was, that all the rough patches had been worth it to get to this moment. Everyone commented on what a beautiful couple we made, how happy we seemed, how they could feel the love between us. After the wedding, we went on a honeymoon to Bali. 2 weeks of paradise, white sand beaches, crystal clear water, luxurious resorts. Tara posted pictures constantly, texted updates to her family. In every photo, we were smiling, arms around each other, the perfect newlyweds. She would pose us carefully for each shot, sometimes taking dozens before she was satisfied. At the time, I found it endearing, how she wanted to capture every moment. Now, I see it differently. We've been back for about a month now. I had to go on a business trip last week. It was the first time we had been apart since the wedding. I called her each night, sent her text updates throughout the day. She seemed distracted on the calls, said she was just tired from work, that everything was fine. When I got back, something felt off. Tara was distant, on her phone more than usual, went to bed early claiming headaches. I tried to brush it off as post-honeymoon blues or stress from going back to work. I made her favorite dinner one night, suggested we watch that show she had been wanting to see, tried to reconnect. Then yesterday, Nate called me. His voice was serious in a way that made my stomach drop immediately. He asked if I was sitting down. Then he told me something that turned my world upside down. Emma had just informed him that Tara had confessed to cheating on me. Apparently, Tara had invited Emma over while I was on my business trip and asked her to cover for her when she went out with other men. Not man. Men. Plural. She admitted she had already cheated multiple times and didn't plan on stopping. She told Emma she loved the security of marriage but wasn't built for monogamy. Emma had been horrified and immediately told Nate, who felt obligated to tell me. I confronted Tara as soon as she got home from work. She denied everything at first, said Emma was making it up, that she was jealous of our relationship, that she had always tried to come between us. We had a huge fight. She called Emma a liar, said I was choosing my family over her, that I obviously didn't trust her. I ended up grabbing her phone and locking myself in the bathroom. She pounded on the door, screaming at me to give it back, threatening to call the police. I ignored her and started going through her messages. What I found made me physically ill. Messages to multiple men, some I recognized as her co-workers, others complete strangers to me. Explicit conversations, plans to meet up, photos I can't even describe. Messages that dated back months, even before our wedding. Messages from during our honeymoon, sent while I was showering or napping. I forwarded everything to myself as proof, taking screenshots, then I came out and handed her back the phone. I didn't say a word. I just packed a bag and left as she followed me around the apartment, alternating between apologizing and blaming me for invading her privacy. She grabbed my arm as I reached the door, begging me to stay, to talk, to work it out. I removed her hand and walked out without looking back. I'm staying at a hotel right now. I've contacted a lawyer about divorce proceedings. Everything I believed about our relationship was a lie. I don't know how I'm going to face my family, my friends. Everyone at the wedding, everyone who congratulated us. Everyone who watched me promise to love her forever just weeks ago. I feel like such a fool. Update 1. It's been a week since I found out about Tara's cheating and left our apartment. I've been staying at this hotel, just trying to process everything. I still haven't gone back to the apartment, I can't face it yet. Can't see our wedding photos on the walls, our merged belongings, the bed we shared. I've been in contact with my lawyer, starting the divorce proceedings. Apparently you can't get annulment for cheating. Can't believe I'm saying that. Divorce. After less than 2 months of marriage. The word feels foreign in my mouth, like something that happens to other people, older people, people who've been together for years and grown apart. Not newlyweds who are still supposed to be in the honeymoon phase. The lawyer says because it's been such a short marriage and we have clear evidence of infidelity, things should be relatively straightforward. No kids, thankfully. We had talked about starting a family next year, had even picked out names during one of those late-night conversations about our future. We don't own property together, we were renting the apartment while saving for a house. The only complicated thing is that my parents paid for most of the wedding, around $40,000. An amount that makes me nauseous to think about now, knowing it was all for a sham marriage. The lawyer says we might be able to recoup some of that, given the circumstances, but I don't know if I want to drag this out any longer than necessary. I just want it over with, want to cut all ties with Tara, want to pretend this chapter of my life never happened. Tara's been blowing up my phone. Calls, texts, voicemails, dozens each day, alternating between apologizing and blaming me. Saying I was too controlling, that I drove her to it, that my jealousy made her feel trapped. Then saying she loves me and wants to work it out, that we can go to counseling again, that she'll change. Then accusing Emma of meddling and trying to ruin our marriage out of jealousy. It's exhausting. I've stopped responding. I blocked her number after the first few days, but she keeps finding ways to contact me, creating new email addresses, using friends' phones. I've saved it all for the lawyer, evidence of harassment if we need it. Nate and Emma have been my rocks through all this. They've offered their guest room, home-cooked meals, a shoulder to cry on. But I need some space right now, need to process this on my own before I can face anyone's pity or concern. Emma feels guilty for telling Nate, which led to him telling me, but I assured her she did the right thing. I would rather know the truth, as painful as it is, than live in ignorance while my wife makes a fool of me. Emma said she wrestled with whether to tell me, that her loyalty to her sister made her hesitate, but ultimately she couldn't bear to see me betrayed like that. She's a better sister to me than Tara deserves. The hardest part was telling my parents. They loved Tara. They thought she was perfect for me, especially after seeing how I'd changed for her, the therapy, the anger management. My mom had already started talking about grandchildren, had embraced her completely. Mom cried when I told them what happened. Body shaking sobs that made me feel even worse somehow. Dad got quiet in that way he does when he's really angry, his jaw clenched, his eyes hard. They wanted to know details, but I spared them most of it. Just said she had been unfaithful multiple times and that it was over. Mom asked if there was any chance of reconciliation. I said no, and I meant it. There's no coming back from this level of betrayal. I've taken some time off work. My boss was understanding when I explained the situation, just said to take the time I needed and check in when I could. My coworkers don't know the details, just that I'm dealing with a family emergency. I keep replaying our relationship in my head, looking for signs I missed. The times she was vague about her plans, the girls' nights that went suspiciously late, the coworkers she mentioned too often. Was she cheating all along? Even before we got married? Was the bar incident with her coworker Alex actually what I suspected it was? Did she sleep with him that night after I was arrested? I'll probably never know the full truth, and maybe that's for the best. Each new revelation is like a fresh knife to the gut. I haven't been sleeping well. I keep having these dreams where everything is normal, we're happy, we're planning our future, and then I wake up in this hotel room alone. The crash back to reality is brutal every time. The minibar in my room has been restocked twice already this week. Not proud of that, but it's the only way I can fall asleep some nights. The hotel staff have started giving me these pitying looks. I must be quite the sight, unshaven, red-eyed, the same few outfits rotated because I only grabbed what I could fit in one suitcase when I left. My friends have been checking in, wanting to grab drinks, offering support. I haven't taken anyone up on it yet. I'm not ready to talk about it face to face. Hence why I'm writing this all out here, to strangers who don't know me or Tara. Who can't look at me with that awful combination of sympathy and curiosity. Who won't tell me what a great couple we seem to be or ask what went wrong. I'm meeting with the lawyer again tomorrow to go over the initial paperwork. Tara doesn't know yet that I've initiated divorce proceedings. I'm not looking forward to her reaction when she gets served. But there's no going back from this. No amount of therapy or promises or tears can fix what's broken now. Our marriage was dead before it even really began. Update 2. It's been 2 weeks since my last update, 3 weeks total since I found out about Tara's cheating. A lot has happened, none of it pleasant. Tara was served with divorce papers last week at her office. I didn't want to do it that way, would have preferred somewhere private, but the lawyer advised it was the most straightforward approach given that she wasn't at our apartment much and I didn't want to meet her in person. Her reaction was exactly what I expected, a complete meltdown. She showed up at my hotel that same evening, somehow figured out where I was staying. Probably called every mid-range hotel downtown until she found one with my name in the system. The front desk called my room around 8 p.m. saying there was a woman causing a scene in the lobby, claiming to be my wife and demanding to know my room number. I had to go down there and deal with it. She was crying, mascara running down her face, hair disheveled, shouting that I couldn't do this, that we needed to talk, that I owed her that much at least. Several other guests were staring. A security guard was hovering nearby. I felt a mix of embarrassment, anger, and this residual ache of seeing her so upset despite everything. I agreed to speak with her briefly in the hotel restaurant. In retrospect, I should have just had security escort her out. The conversation went nowhere, just round and round in circles of accusations and excuses. She tried everything: tears, pleading, anger, manipulation. Said the messages I found were just flirting, nothing physical ever happened, a lie, based on what I read. Said she had a sex addiction and needed help, not abandonment. Said she was going through something, that she had been confused about what she wanted but now she knew it was me, only me, forever. Then switched to blaming Emma again, saying she was trying to sabotage our marriage because she was jealous of our relationship, that she had always been jealous of Tara's freedom and passion. When none of that worked, she threatened to tell everyone that I had been abusive, referencing the bar incident where I accidentally hit her during the fight. Said she still had pictures of the black eye, that everyone would believe her over me, that I'd lose my job, my friends, my reputation. I remained calm, told her the divorce was happening whether she cooperated or not, and that if she continued to harass me or spread lies, I would get a restraining order and sue her for defamation. I had all her text messages saved, after all, evidence of her affairs and her character. Then I walked away. She followed me to the elevator, still yelling, alternating between threats and pleas, until hotel security stepped in. I went back to my room and immediately called my lawyer to update him on the situation. He advised documenting everything and said we'd file a restraining order if necessary. The next day, I finally went back to her apartment to get more of my things. I asked Nate to come with me, in case Tara was there. She wasn't, probably at work, though honestly I had no idea what her schedule was anymore and didn't care to know. I packed up most of my clothes, some personal items, my computer, important documents. Left the furniture, kitchen stuff, wedding gifts, all of it. I just wanted my personal belongings, things that mattered to me before Tara, things that weren't tainted by association with our relationship. Nate helped me carry everything to his car. We didn't talk much during the process, but his presence was a comfort. I've moved out of the hotel and into a small furnished apartment with a month-to-month lease. At least I can cook for myself here, try to establish some kind of routine. I've gone back to work, though it's hard to focus. My mind wanders constantly, everyone at the office knows something's wrong. I went from newly married and happy to obviously not wearing my ring and looking like I haven't slept in weeks, but they've been respectful about not prying. A few close colleagues have asked if I'm okay, and I've given vague responses about personal issues. I'm not ready to say the words "my wife cheated on me and we're getting divorced" out loud to people I have to see every day. My parents came to see the new place yesterday. Mom brought groceries, homemade lasagna, fresh sheets for the bed. Dad helped me set up the TV and internet, hung a few pictures I had taken from the apartment. They didn't stay long. I think it's hard for them to see me like this. They had such high hopes when I got married. Their younger son finally settled down with a nice girl. Now I'm back to square one, but worse, damaged, distrustful, going through a divorce at 28. When they left, Mom hugged me tight and whispered that it would get better with time. I wanted to believe her. The lawyer says Tara is contesting the divorce, claiming there's no proof of adultery. I forwarded him all the messages I saved from her phone, dozens of explicit exchanges with at least 4 different men, arrangements to meet at hotels while I was at work, complaints about how boring I was in bed compared to them. He says it's more than enough evidence, that her contesting is just a delay tactic. She's just trying to drag things out, maybe hoping I'll give up and agree to counseling or something. Not happening. The lawyer assures me that even with her fighting it, the divorce should be finalized within 6 months at most given the circumstances. Emma reached out to me directly for the first time since everything blew up. We met for coffee at a place far from both our usual haunts, somewhere we wouldn't run into anyone we know. She apologized again for her part in it all, for not seeing what Tara was capable of, for not warning me more explicitly before the wedding. I told her she had nothing to apologize for. If anything, I owe her for having the courage to tell Nate the truth when it would have been easier to stay quiet. She mentioned that Tara has been bad-mouthing her to their parents, saying she ruined Tara's marriage out of spite. Their dad apparently isn't buying it, has always been able to see through Tara's manipulations, but their mom is torn. Family drama I don't need to be involved in anymore, but it pains me to see Emma suffering for doing the right thing. I am so effing tired right now with everything going on. That's it for now. I might provide an update later when something happens.